Yeah, I know I'm sick of this. I'm sick and tired of this. And quietly, I was just about to give up on this till I realized that Trump ain't speak yet. So we still got time to be on time. But my internet cut out twice today during the stream. And it pissed me off. Because what's the purpose of starting the stream up if the internet's gonna cut? And I don't know if it was the arrow or if it was a fiber. But I'm pissed. But I'm gonna get back to Mike Johnson on this.
Cases 60%, in some cases more. And it's going to go up further. So their solution is right now they want to subsidize it further. They want to subsidize insurance companies. They want the COVID era extension that was created by the Democrats themselves. They created the subsidy. They're the ones that put the expiration date of December 31 of 2025 on that. They knew it wasn't going to be permanent because it was a boondoggle. And now they're trying to claim it's Republicans' fault? The Democrats created it. The Democrats broke it. The Democrats are driving your cost up. Who are you going to trust to fix health care? It's the Republican Party, because we have volumes of ideas on how to do this, on how to fix it, on how to drive costs down, and how to increase access to care and quality of care, and you're going to see all that vigorous debate. So the answer to your question is, am I going to guarantee a vote on ACA unreformed COVID-era subsidies that is just a boondoggle to insurance companies and robs the taxpayer? We got a lot of work to do on that. The Republicans would demand a lot of reforms before anything like that was ever possible, and we have to go through that deliberative process. We have 435, well, currently 433
anyway, this man woke up. I'm just shut the whole damn computer off.
There's a lot of opinions in this building, and on our side, certainly a lot of opinions on how to fix healthcare and make it more affordable. I have to allow that process to play out. I'll leave you with this. The biggest objection that I had to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, who are playing political games with people's lives when they shut the government down, was Chuck Schumer came out and said the quiet part out loud. I don't even think he realized, he has no self-awareness. But he came and cried to all of you that I would not agree to go into a back room and make a four corners agreement on these issues. That just he and I and Hakeem Jeffries and Leader Thune would go in a room and make this decision for the entire population of America and block out all of our colleagues as if they had no voice in it. That is why Washington is broken. That's why Congress hasn't worked well for people. That's why they don't have a lot of faith in what goes on here. And I'm committed to trying to restore that faith. And one way we do that is we get back to regular order, and we allow all the duly elected members of this body to have their voices heard. I'm not playing games, and Chuck Schumer, I'm not going in a back room with you and making a four corners deal on anything. And I hope you understand that. Thank y'all. We got the government open. Let's celebrate tonight.
Well,
they did the right thing. We congratulate them.
That's where we are. If you got into the stream earlier, you seen we had segments of that Mike Johnson clip throughout the night. So I don't want to go back and watch the whole thing, but we're still waiting on Big Trump to start his press conference, actually signing the bill and putting the government into law. So we'll see what that is. They're still not talking about it, but I'm going to switch over to a news segment because, you know, there's got to be some news about this. And also Jeffrey Epstein. The Epstein files or emails were released earlier. We talked about it a bit earlier. It doesn't seem to really be driving as much traction in the news as, see what ABC News is talking about.
Millions of Americans have been
jump to this real quick. Make sure my people can see it. Hold on. Oh, what? There we go. That looks better. Blame Chucky for the shutdown. I'm blaming everybody, really. I'm blaming both sides. Because everybody's impacted. I think both sides have to take blame for this some kind of way. Let's see what ABC's talking about before while we wait on President Trump, man.
Chaos at America's airports. Nearly 1,000 more flights canceled today, and what the airlines are now saying tonight about flying in the days ahead, even with this vote. Here's Gio Benitez now.
Tonight, for the thousands of passengers forced to navigate a maze of flight cancellations and delays, an end to the government shutdown can't come soon enough. Airlines say even when the government reopens, it could be several more days before they are fully operational.
We have had 2 cancellations today, and now 3 delays, so we're feeling it.
Today, more than 900 flights were canceled, more than 2,000 delayed. But for the first time in 2 weeks, nearly every air traffic control center in the country was properly staffed. The CEO of Delta Airlines is hopeful.
We get everybody back, we get people paid, most importantly, and by the weekend, I think things should be in good shape.
Still, some passengers worry about flying over the holidays.
We usually go away on the holidays. I think we're going to take this one off.
But airlines say there's still time to get travel back on track before the Thanksgiving rush.
We're still a good week plus away from that Thanksgiving week. So, yeah, there's still plenty of time to make sure that everything over the Thanksgiving week goes off as originally planned.
Donald Trump.
And David, it's unclear when the FAA will lift its plans to cut 10% of flights. And again, once the government reopens, it's going to take a few days to get things back to normal, David.
Gio Benita is back on this tonight. Thank you, Gio.
The one thing I miss is a newly elected member. I can't butcher her name yet, but I'm going to listen to the speech.
United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God.
I do.
Congratulations, you're now a member of the
I appreciate you, boss. Thank you. Let me check the chat, man. Thanks, James. I appreciate you.
Without objection, the gentleman from Arizona is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr.
I appreciate
Speaker.
that, James.
It is my pleasure to rise today to congratulate our newest colleague and fellow Arizonan on her swearing in as a representative from Arizona's 7th Congressional District, Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva. Congresswoman Grijalva has concentrated her career on issues associated and advocating for students and supporting families. As she follows her late father's footsteps, and boy, those are some footsteps, especially with those bolo ties. Wow. I have no doubt she will bring to the halls of Congress the same energy that has defined her years of public service. As Dean of the Arizona Congressional Delegation, I wish to congratulate Congresswoman Grijalva and welcome her to the United States House of Representatives. I now yield to my friend from Arizona, Mr. Stanton.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, and thank you to Congressman Gosar, the new Dean of Arizona's State Delegation. It has been a minute since we've all been together on the House floor. Looking for cobwebs around here. As Dean, Congressman Gosar replaces the late Congressman Raul Grijalva, one of the most impactful leaders in Arizona history. And now, with great pride, I rise today to do something we have waited 50 long days to do, exactly 49 days too long, and that is to introduce our colleague from Arizona, Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva. Since September 23rd, the people of Arizona have been, but one isn't required. Then they wanted to make sure there was enough pomp and circumstance. Then we were informed about a non-existent Pelosi precedent. At one point, the Speaker went on television and said, quote, "Bless her heart, she is representative-elect. She doesn't know how it works around here." Bless his heart, because here's how it should work. Let's call it the Adelita Grijalva precedent. When the American people vote, this chamber respects their will and seats them immediately. Politics should never come into play. Mr. Speaker, Congresswoman Grijalva is a native Tucsonan, the granddaughter of a bracero who came here from Mexico, the youngest woman ever elected to the Tucson Unified School Board, serving 20 years, then a Pima County supervisor fighting for working families, affordable housing, early child education. She brings that same fight to Congress. The people of Arizona's 7th District placed their trust in her, and today that trust is rewarded. And her first act of Congress will be a powerful one. She will be the 218th and final signature on the discharge petition to force the Trump administration to release the Epstein files, delivering long overdue justice and accountability for hundreds of victims abused by rich and powerful men. She is a smart, principled fighter through and through, Mr. Speaker. It is my honor to welcome and introduce to this chamber Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva.
Give me 2 taps and a Ric Flair. Wow.
Gracias. Thank you.
I'm trying to bounce.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Thank you to my colleague and friend, Congressman Stanton, for that kind introduction, and to the entire Democratic delegation from Arizona and the delegation that stood here with me that has supported me throughout this process. I rise today the proud granddaughter of a bracero, a hardworking Mexican immigrant who came to this country for a better life, and I stand as the proud daughter of a U.S. congressman, a man who spent his entire life fighting for justice, equity, and dignity for the most vulnerable. Yeah. From working as a vaquero to serving in Congress in just a single generation, that is the promise of this country. That is the America I want to raise my 3 beautiful children in,
Amen.
Adelina, Raul, and Joaquin. They, along with my amazing husband, Sol, and my wonderful mama, Ramona, are here with me today. Muchas gracias por su apoyo y tu amor. And thank you to la gente of Southern Arizona for making history, electing me, the first Latina, the first Chicana from Arizona to ever go to Congress.
Let's go.
Clacky.
I'm going to get that in Boricua.
Este momento es histórico para nuestra comunidad. Es un honor ser la primera latina en representar a Arizona en el Congreso y les aseguro que aunque soy la primera, no será la última. This moment today, our American promise is under serious threat. Basic freedoms are under attack. Healthcare premiums are skyrocketing. Babies are being ripped away from their parents by masked agents. We can and must do better. What is most concerning is not what this administration has done, but what the majority in this body has failed to do. Hold Trump accountable as a co-equal branch of government that we are. It has been 50 days since the people of Arizona's 7th Congressional District elected me to represent them. 50 days that over 800,000 Arizonans have been left without access to the basic services that every constituent deserves. This is an abuse of power. One individual should not be able to unilaterally obstruct the swearing in of a duly elected member of Congress for political reasons.
Here we go. Here we go. Big shots. Big shots, everybody. Big shots to everybody. Big shots to everybody.
Our democracy only works when everyone has a voice. This includes the millions of people across the country who have experienced violence and exploitation, including Liz Stein and Jessica Michaels, both survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse. They are here in the gallery with us this evening. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my bad, Mike. What up, Mike? I thought it was a girl name at first. We're hey, how you doing?
Just this morning, House Democrats released more emails showing that Trump knew more about Epstein's abuses than he previously acknowledged. It's past time for Congress to restore its role as a check and balance on this administration and fight for we, the American people. We need to fight for our immigrant communities and veterans. We need to stand up for our public schools, children, and educators. We need to respect tribal sovereignty in our environment. We need to stand up for LGBTQ+ rights, because that's what the American people expect us to do. Fight for them. That is why I will sign the discharge petition right now to release the Epstein files.
Oh, big Trump. They're coming for you, Trump.
Clock
They're coming for Trump.
They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
We're waiting on Trump.
Justice
Waiting on
cannot
Trump, y'all.
wait another day.
I'm watching. They're not live yet.
Adelante, mi gente. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. I yield back.
What y'all think about that speech, y'all? What did you think about that speech? A lot of good speeches today. There'll be another one coming up real soon, man.
Under Clause 5 of Rule 20, the chair announces to the House that in light of the administration of the oath of the gentleman from Arizona, the whole number of the House is now 433.
Pretty good speech. Really won't hold you. Pretty good speech. As you know, you were waiting on Big Trump to start. Appreciate y'all tapping in on the stream tonight. I am your boy, the hip hop lobbyist, professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. Hold on, let me switch this up so y'all can see it better. Listen, big beautiful bill passed. All this stuff passed. Everything Trump wanted passed. The tax subsidies for Obamacare, they gutted Obamacare since they've taken each other round of being in control of this. If you missed us earlier, we talked about Cash Patel. Speaking about fentanyl, we were actually watching that press conference when we lost internet earlier. And now we're waiting on Big Trump to come in and make, bigger headlines. What it needs to be today. But you know what other headlines were? The Epstein files.
Is in the Epstein emails. As Nicole Wallace and I were just discussing, that is now confirmed. Prior to this, responsible people, lawyers who deal in evidence, journalists who deal with what we know and don't know, weren't saying that yet. Other people have said all kinds
Tiger
of
King needs to get out.
both
No lie.
sides of this.
Well,
But what you see on your screen, our headline here, is the first time this has been reported and confirmed with receipts, because Epstein himself emailed about Trump. We have this from Congress. These are damning emails where Epstein says, this is his view, what he alleges, that Donald Trump knew of Epstein's conduct. He sent an email in 2019, revealed for the first time ever today, so long after his death. We now learn that he says...
We ain't gonna be here long. Big Trump in the building, y'all.
Good government can be and how bad government can be if people don't know what they're doing. For the past 43 days, Democrats in Congress shut down the government of the United States in an attempt to extort American taxpayers for hundreds of billions of dollars for illegal aliens and people that came into our country illegally, from gangs, from prisons, from mental institutions. They wanted to pay them $1.5 trillion, which would have really hurt our healthcare businesses and our recipients at levels never seen before. Today, we're sending a clear message that we will never give in to extortion, because that's what it was. They tried to extort, the Democrats tried to extort our country. In just a moment, I'll sign a bill exactly like we asked Democrats to send us.
We're not going to talk about Epstein files, man.
Republicans never wanted a shutdown and voted 15 times for a clean continuation of funding. There's never been a time when one or the other party ever didn't sign a continuation. It's just a continuation, not a big deal. It's a continuation and we'll talk later. Yet the extremists in the other party insisted on creating the longest government shutdown in American history, and they did it purely for political reasons. I want to thank Speaker Mike Johnson, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, as well as House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Majority Whip Tom Emmer, and numerous other great Republican leaders and congressmen and senators who are here, who frankly spent a long time in Washington getting this thing to go away. I also want to thank the broad coalition of Americans that stood with us in this fight to reopen government, including the Teamsters, the American Federation of Government Employees, the Fraternal Order of Police, AMVETS, the National Small Business Association, the American Farm Bureau, the American Trucking Association. These are all incredible patriots.
It's crazy.
The Airlines for America. Over the past 7 weeks, the Democrats' shutdown has inflicted massive harm. They caused 20,000 flights to be canceled or delayed. They departed so many times, so late. People were hurt so badly. Nobody's ever seen anything like this one. This was a no-brainer. This was an easy extension. But they didn't want to do it the easy way. They had to do it the hard way. And they look very bad, the Democrats do. They deprived more than 1 million government workers from their paychecks and cut off food stamp benefits for millions and millions more Americans in need. They caused tens of thousands of federal contractors and small businesses to go unpaid, and the total effect of the damage their antics caused will take weeks and probably months to really calculate accurately.
So he has an excuse for the next 6 months, y'all.
To our economy and to people and to families. So I just want to tell the American people, you should not forget this. When we come up to midterms and other things, don't forget what they've done to our country. I also want to call for a termination to the filibuster so that this can never happen again. If we had the filibuster terminated, this would never happen again. And don't forget, we have another date coming up in the not too distant future. We can never let this happen again. And we should be able to pass great, really great legislation. So I say terminate the filibuster because, by the way, the Democrats will do it immediately if they ever assumed office.
Would they?
Hopefully they won't. Today we had the highest stock market price ever in all of the different markets. We set a record. It's the 48th time in the 9 months that I've been in office that we had this record set. So think of that, 48 times we had a record set. But today is the highest of them all. We're going to break new grounds. Nobody would have thought. I have with us not only the great political leaders, but the great business leaders of our country. They're standing right behind me.
Elon back?
Really alongside of me. And if we would have told them a year ago that we'd be having stock prices this high, none of them. In fact, I just asked them that question. None of them would have believed it. And that inures to
bro,
jobs.
it's a soundboard, baby.
And very importantly, the 401ks, which have also set a record today. A record high for the people that have 401ks. And also I want to thank Walmart because they came up with a fantastic study. It was the cost of Thanksgiving coming up and the cost of Thanksgiving from a year ago.
Oh, here we go.
Sleepy Joe Biden. And we're 25% lower this year than we were a year ago.
Oh, we really do?
It's a very inclusive report, so I want to thank Walmart. They've done it for many years, but
inclusive.
We believe in that. We believe in that company. I want to also thank the 8 Senate Democrats who finally did the right thing in voting to end this craziness, this madness. But unfortunately, the vast majority of congressional Democrats were happy for millions of Americans to suffer. They really did suffer, too. And the Democrats admitted. They said, well, no, we finally have a point. Even though people have to suffer, we finally have a point, and that didn't work out too well for them.
Bro, it's a soundboard,
bro. But they really went out and they could appease the fringe benefits of their far-left base, but that didn't work out because now their far-left base is angrier than ever before.
Ooh, facts.
We actually elected a mayor of New York City who happens to be a communist. When was that going to happen? Remember I said all the time during my campaign, we will never be a socialist country, and that's right. We turned out to have a communist in New York City, and if you look at his views, those are the views of a communist, not a socialist. So this is no way to run a country. I hope we can all agree that the government should never be shut down again. End the filibuster, terminate the filibuster. It'll never happen again.
Oh.
So with my signature,
filibuster gone, y'all?
The federal government will now resume normal operations, and my administration and our partners in Congress will continue our work to lower the cost of living, restore public safety, grow our economy, and make America affordable again for all Americans. Again, costs are way down. Energy is way down. Gasoline is at $2.50 a gallon versus $4.70 for the Democrats.
Damn, I get you paying $2.50 a gallon. I pay like $1.99.
It's like
how much I pay for gas? Put it in the chat.
And speaking of tax cuts, our great, big, beautiful bill is giving everybody in our economy, middle income workers, low income, everybody, the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. And it's no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and very importantly, no tax on overtime. You work overtime, there's no tax. That's among the things that add up to the biggest tax cut in history. One other thing, you hear about rich people with deductions. Well, when you buy your car and you borrow money, you're allowed to now deduct the interest on that loan. So you can take that interest deduction and what you can take is that interest payment and deduct it for income tax purposes. That's a tremendous tax cut right there. But it all includes fixing the healthcare system that Democrats broke with the disaster known as Obamacare. Obamacare was a disaster from day one. It's done nothing but go up. And if you remember President Barack Hussein Obama, when he came up with this crazy idea, he said everything's going to be great. Rates are going to go down. Payments are going to go down. Everything's going to go down. It went the exact opposite with the biggest increase of healthcare in any country. It's a disaster. And I'm calling today for insurance companies not to be paid, but for the money, this massive amount of money, to be paid directly to the people of our country so that they can buy their own health care, which will be far better and far less expensive than to the insurance company, which is hundreds of billions of dollars. Their stock prices have gone up by 1,000% in many cases, 1,000% over a short period of time, because our country stupidly pays them so much money with this Obamacare scandal. So I want the money to go directly to you, the people. And you go out and you'll buy your own health insurance and you'll negotiate different plans and you'll get much better insurance and you will be an entrepreneur for yourself. So I'm always willing to work with anyone, including the other party. We'll work on something having to do with healthcare. We can do a lot better. We can do great. So much money is involved. And we're willing to pay so much money to the people. So we're going to pay a lot of money to the people. They're going to go out and buy their own health care, and we're going to forget this Obamacare madness. So with all of that, I just want to tell you the country has never been in better shape. We went through this short-term disaster with the Democrats because they thought it would be good politically, and it's an honor now to sign this incredible bill and get our country working again. Thank you.
Shutdown officially over, y'all. What do y'all think in the chat? Now the president said gas prices $2.50. 76% of the chat says no right now, which is crazy. The government is officially open, y'all. The aviation workers can go back to work. Tax subsidies going on. Like, where are we at? Next week they're gonna vote on the Epstein files.
I don't know if you have questions. I think we really have a really great situation. We have a country that we love, and we have a country that's in great shape. As you know, we have over $18 trillion invested in our country by other people and countries. That's a record. There's never been a country that had so much, and that money's going into also building new auto plants, new AI plants, new everything. We've never had a time like this. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, ain't no questions. We talking about Big Trump ended it all, man. Now, there's a lot of provisions in the bill that haven't been discussed. And the bigger issue is, to me on this channel, at least going through some of the issues that will impact everyday Americans. Now, when I pull it up, I'm gonna switch over here. My people on vertical. Give me 1 second, trying to make sure it's working for you. All right. Just a breakdown of what's actually in the bill. Let me get this right. Give me 2 seconds, y'all. Actually, I think I can switch it to my other channel. Hold on, wait. Will this work better? Yeah, this will work. So, see, we made that adjustment real quick. So they passed the bill. There's no more fight, really, to say, okay, here's what they're going to take out of it, right? At least for a breakdown of what's in it. You see $37 trillion for school lunch, breakfast programs. That's your Title I schools, your free lunches. For your WIC programs, $8 billion. Pretty good. My bad. I said 37 billion. My bad on the, I said trillion earlier for free lunch. 37 billion there, 8 billion for WIC, about 107 billion for SNAP. People are going to go get their Thanksgiving meals. By next 2 weeks, people probably going to forget about most of this, right? You get into your different grants, your different money that ends up being broken out of this bill. And it's like, okay, how can you get out of the narrative of Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP? Because I'm not impacted by that personally in my family. Worried about my grandfather, 96 years old. Cool. But it gets to the point of saying, outside of eventually having to take care of my parent and things of that nature, even in that aspect, understanding what the new law of the land is, right? So when you're going through it, it's like, all right, cool. What's in it outside of SNAP? Rural water and waste disposal program, a direct loan. What's the need for this? I don't know, but if you're in a rural community, this could be a huge issue, right? You get into some of the military defense spending, $200 million for aircraft procurement for E7. Listen, they're fighting that and data. You get into our vets, and everybody cares about vets. I live in one of the veteran retirement capitals of the world. $1 billion for gender-specific care and women veterans. 1.4 billion. That's pretty dope. When you're thinking about the fact of, okay, it's in there, suicide prevention, totally huge. $698 million dedicated for suicide prevention outreach for our vets. So when you think about it, you could think of it as a contracting opportunity. If you're a vendor in this space, to say, okay, cool. If this is the money that's passing this new package and the new CR, what programs do I have geared towards veterans that can help vets at least address the fact of not going suicide as that route? Caregiver programs, $3 billion. Rural health programs, $342 million. I don't think that's enough. But also telehealth, $6 billion. Telehealth for veterans. I think that's huge when you have vets living in certain areas where they can't get to a VA hospital or VA clinic within a 2 to 3 hour span, or it's a whole day adjustment to get what they need, right? So when you're looking at it from a cap of the doctors working in the VA clinic are capped on how much they can make. In the private sector, they could probably make a whole lot more. But in the same aspect, these telehealth doctors or this funding would now allow vets to get in there. So it's a part of understanding, okay, cool, I understand the narrative, but if you have a vet that you know they're driving 2 hours to see a specialist about something, let's find out that this funding is going to help you, right? So you can reach out to your congressperson now and say, all right, cool, y'all passed this bill, but I saw that you have $709 million allocated for opioid prevention and $6 billion dedicated for telehealth. How much of that is coming to my state and my area so I can be more effective in understanding how to benefit from the process? I'm not saying this is the best. I'm not saying it's the worst. What I'm saying is, in a bipartisan manner, as I say on this channel, I'm bi, not sexual, but partisan, to a point of saying, how do you educate people once the smoke clears and the dust is settled on the impact legislation is going to have on their day-to-day life, right? And I think a part of that is saying, all right, cool, Trump said his piece, the Epstein files coming out, that's going to drive the narrative. But when you're coming to a fact of you have a vet who you, like I know vets that I went to high school with, served in Iraq, Afghanistan, have come back. Maybe they're in a situation where they need access to this situation. Cool, they get this information, you're in there, right? So All that put together, you are bipartisan, as in working Democrats and Republicans working together, and it's a mindset. People rag on it, whatever, right? I'm comfortable in my heterosexual lifestyle. You feel me? Married, wife, kid, that's it, right? But a part of it is in politics, people get so Democratic, Republican. It's never about, okay, how do people benefit? And even now, Republicans are celebrating victories. Democrats are really trying to see how they rebuild from the loss. But it's also a fact of saying, all right, cool, what's in this for everybody? And as you kind of go through it, it'll break it down. Let me get to another section of it. Because community health centers, right? A big part, what Mike Johnson said, Hakeem Jeffries says, okay, cool. They have money allocated to it till January 30th. What's the conversation with community health centers going forward so they can get a bigger allocation of more funding for that? Because a lot of those community health centers will be in rural areas, right? Special diabetes programs for type 1, $53 million. Is that enough? Right? And even for that $53 million, who's benefiting from that? Who's currently getting it? And if you're not getting it, how do you at least learn about it so you can get access to it, right? Because that's for everybody. Overall, excuse me for burping in your face there, it's always a point of, to me, getting out of the narrative and getting to the statutes and staff analysis. Now, if you want to see the bill itself, just for comparison, make sure my people can see it on the, go on. This is what I threw in the AI. So y'all will know this is a concurrent resolution that came from the Senate. So if you're going through the staff analysis and all the other things, that's whatever, right? So even as you can see, let me do the section, no, 213, I think it is. Then let me find it. 1 second, y'all. 123, I gotta wait. See, who's gonna read through all this, right? You use AI, I'm gonna use AI too. What are we talking about? Who's gonna waste time going through all this? You see the allocations in there, bomb, 5 million, $500,000. All the money is in there. It's tucked in the statute. That's the thing. They write these bills. Most people never read the bills. The journalists do, but the journalists throw in AI too. Hey, what's interesting in here, right? So you see the funding allocated for all these other things. But what I wanted to get to was section 213. I pulled it on the other side. I didn't pull it on. I wanted to actually go through it. Where am I? Rural housing. It's a $500,000 section. Bucket. I know it's 213. I just got to find the damn section. I'm lost in the bill. That's only 88 pages. I think it was in like 200 somewhere. My bad, y'all. I'm gonna delay the process. I don't pass the shit now, didn't I? 700. I think that's what they said they want to go back and get. No, I'm fucking up. I can't find it right now. It's all right. Let me get back to some other news. Like, either way, again, Trump signed the bill. The government's open. Welcome to the post-government shutdown. And I really don't know where Democrats go from here, to be honest, right? Epstein, that's what we were on before, right? I knew we had to, so we had a segue. I'm gonna still restart this one. I guess this will be the next thing next week. Epstein files. See where that goes. These emails really will start the domino effect, and the newly elected member is going to get the party started. So either way, I appreciate y'all tapping in. Please make sure you like and subscribe. And I'm going to keep it moving.
Is in the Epstein emails. As Nicole Wallace and I were just discussing, that is now confirmed. Prior to this, responsible people, lawyers who deal in evidence, journalists who deal with what we know and don't know, weren't saying that yet. Other people have said all kinds of things, by the way, on both sides of this. But what you see on your screen, our headline here, is the first time this has been reported and confirmed with receipts because Epstein himself emailed about Trump. We have this from Congress. These are damning emails where Epstein says, this is his view, what he alleges, that Donald Trump knew of Epstein's conduct. He sent an email in 2019, revealed for the first time ever today, so long after his death, we now learn that he says, of course, Trump knew about, quote, the girls. Now, that is a major statement. The context of it is what lawyers and investigators would call more credible, because it was made privately in a secret manner that he thought would stay secret. And if you're saying, okay, Ari, but now it's on the news, now it's in other people's hands. Yeah, years later, and after he died, this statement he made stayed secret all that time through the probe and through his own death. So what they thought would stay secret did stay secret for a long time. And while Donald Trump vowed to release exactly this type of material, the emails or files in government possession, he broke that vow. And it's only the dogged pursuit of investigative reporters. We have a key one coming up. And government officials and in the independent branch of Congress, where Democrats, with some Republicans, I should note, have been pushing to release the files. And we'll get into what it means, whether you call it files or emails, transfers of documents, data. But these emails are some of the most newsworthy because they involve the now deceased Epstein trafficker talking to the now incarcerated Epstein co-conspirator Maxwell.
But
in that
most
email,
Americans aren't.
He says Trump also asked Maxwell, that's Ghislaine Maxwell, to stop, which seems to be a...
To be fair, most of the intellectuals are only going to go to the spots about Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, because if they were actually going to go through the individual things like I highlighted, they would have put that out in the narrative, but you won't hear that. That's why I just at least highlighted, or I at least had GPT pull it so that people could see it, so they can at least be half educated, so they can go deeper research. Because if you want more than that, you can pay a retainer.
The resort after basically a dispute over people who worked there. That's one way to put it. Others have questioned what it meant that they basically, quote, took people that worked for me, and what kind of pressure and scrutiny that puts on both men and the people in their employ. Another Epstein email from 2011, newly revealed today for the first time, is the bombshell. It is redacted with the word victim, and I want to draw your attention to exactly what it says. Epstein is emailing secretly to Maxwell, later convicted for his sex trafficking ring, that Trump had spent hours at his house, hours at Epstein's house with, and redacted by the government, we just see the word victim. That's the individual name. The White House isn't denying that that was a victim. I'll get to that today. But basically, this is the now revealed claim. The emails do not dictate a kind of specific misconduct by Trump. Although they say he knew about the, quote, girls, and if you take the term girls literally, combined with what Maxwell was convicted of, and a heck of a lot of other reporting, the allegation from Epstein, now deceased, is that Trump knew about what girls, what minors, what females under 18 were doing, a type of wrongdoing. This is a huge deal. Trump spent hours with redacted victim. Trump knew what was going on. And remember, Trump claimed repeatedly last year, and his attorney general claimed this year, they would release the Epstein files. Now, people can debate what that term means. It's not a term you can just define in the dictionary or in any government handbook. Some people use it to mean what they believe to be a kind of secret pile of documents that the DOJ has. Other people mean just any material that's secret that could come out. The Epstein estate clearly has some of this material, which is how it got to Congress. I will tell you in our special report why the DOJ most probably has it. Now, the Trump link to Epstein has been documented. But this is the first time we have seen Epstein, in his own now deceased hand, put on paper or email, put down as a record what he thought Trump did and knew. And Maxwell responds back, and again, they thought this was secret. This is considered credible evidence. It's the kind of damning material that you can understand why Trump would want to keep secret. And that is clear, even apart from whether it rises to a legal level that investigators or federal prosecutors would look at. And when I say investigators, I mean they would have to investigate it. We are not saying, we're not reporting that these references reach the bar of opening a criminal probe. But if you think back outside of the Trump era to just normal political times, being even linked this way to a convicted sex trafficker like Maxwell and the deceased accused sex trafficker Epstein, he just wasn't tried because he died in prison, this is a huge bombshell in and of itself. And there's more coming, according to at least a slim majority of the current Congress. Because late today, the House finally swore in Congresswoman Grijalva. This was after Mike Johnson had used the shutdown to delay this for 50 days. And that sets in motion what Democrats with some Republicans say are enough votes to override the Johnson-Trump secrecy agenda and get more Epstein materials released. So the vote is more relevant now than ever. You have this shocking new evidence. You have a Trump scandal that has been growing over time, not diminishing. And you have the administration, the Trump White House, basically saying, well, the Democrats selectively leaked a couple emails and that they're trying to, quote, smear Donald Trump. What's interesting about that is they are the ones who had long called to release the emails. I'll show you more on that. In addition, things are happening. We talk about sometimes nothing happening in Congress. Well, today, Republican lawmakers responded to Democrats and how they'd use their power, getting up off the mat here and doing something, and Republicans responded by doing more, which interestingly also hurts the Trump White House, releasing about 20,000 other documents from the Epstein estate. We have reporters sifting through those here. I can tell you a lot of folks in Washington, in media, in law, and certainly in politics are sifting through those. Now let me turn to Trump's broken promise. Trump is in the Epstein emails, yet he campaigned on this kind of transparency, releasing these emails and even more. And then after being sworn in, his attorney general, Bondi, promised to release more Epstein material.
The list of clients that went to the island has not been made public. So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now.
And she would go on to vow to release what she said was sitting on her desk. She talked about a client list. And then later, and this is what caused such a MAGA uproar, AG Bondi, under Trump DOJ, said there was nothing more to release at all, and said there was no possible blackmail. One of the other emails to a writer talks about that, although it doesn't confirm it. So what we have is Donald Trump and his top DOJ official claiming they would do part of what's happening today. And now that it's happening today, over their objections, they're saying this is bad. And that's why this story, although it starts with the victims, and we've had victims on this program, we have a Miami Herald reporter coming up who started all this work long before it was a political football. And that matters. This also matters because it is a kind of an illustration of the most important problem with the way Donald Trump is governing right now. MAGA people notice it on some topics, other people notice it on other topics, but whether he's campaigning on lower prices or Epstein transparency, once in office, he not only turns to other issues, but lies about these things. And so depending on which issue you care about, you start to notice it. Donald Trump has been criticized more on this issue from the right than probably any other thing we can measure this year. And today shows those criticisms were on the right track, that he was acting guilty because he's in the files, and that when he attacked the Wall Street Journal, owned by Rupert Murdoch, and other outlets for reporting that he was linked to Epstein, that he wrote him a birthday card, that Pam Bondi said he was in the files or the email.
I get tired of hearing all this shit after a while. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to some local news in Chicago, man.
Yeah, Judge Jeffrey Cummings ordered 13 people to be released by Friday at noon after he determined they were arrested in violation of a consent decree in Illinois with the Department of Homeland Security over warrantless arrests. Another 615 people were ordered released into alternatives to detention like electronic monitoring or paying a bond by next Friday, the 21st. The judge saying those 615 people should not be in custody while the government and immigration attorneys and the judge determine if they were arrested in violation of the consent decree. All of the arrestees identified for release do not have mandatory detention orders and have been determined not to pose any significant risk to the community. The government has between now and Friday to tell the judge if any of the 615 people ordered released to monitoring must be held in custody.
The judge also acknowledged that if the Customs and Border Patrol and ICE had merely followed federal law and our consent decree, there would be nothing for him to order. There would be nothing for him to interpret. But his view of our agreement is that folks who do not have criminal histories or are of risk of danger to the community, who were unlawfully arrested without probable cause, should be released and should not be mandatory detained.
National Immigrant Justice Center attorney Mark Fleming says the list of arrestees is over 3,000 and believes the majority of those arrests were unlawful. But he says more than 1,000 of those arrested are no longer in the U.S., meaning they likely could have been deported.
I think it will show that this whole operation, for the last 2 months, the terrorizing of our neighborhoods, the brutalizing of people here,
has all been unlawful. That's what it's going to show. It's going to show that all of this, all of the tactics of Mr. Bavino, all of the tactics of ICE have been unlawful in the vast majority of arrests.
The judge also ordering the Department of Justice to review all remaining arrests until today's date that fall under the same category and have a list to him of those additional arrests in the next week. More arrestees could be eligible for release by then. Department of Homeland Security said in a statement in part, quote, now an activist judge is putting the lives of Americans directly at risk by ordering 615 illegal aliens be released into the community.
That's crazy, though. I mean, 3,000 innocent people, or, I mean, damn, that's, after a while, it's fucking crazy. Fucking crazy, for real.
Terrell, the new report from the Office of Inspector General points to what it calls questionable excessive spending on overnight trips for CPS employees, including staff excursions to places like Egypt, Finland, and South Africa.
The fuck?
This morning, the oversight body Watchdog urging Chicago Public Schools to reform its travel policies after the Office of Inspector General found CPS travel expenditures surged to $7.7 million last year. That's more than double what the district spent 5 years prior before the pandemic. The report states CPS staffers repeatedly exceeded spending limits and expensed trips and activities without approval, including a professional development conference in Las Vegas that more than 600 employees attended between 2022 and 2024, spending more than $1.5 million in district dollars. Nearly 90% of attendees stayed in hotels exceeding CPS spending limits. The Watchdog Group also found about 40% of all conference attendees traveled without receiving approval.
Where's those?
This all while CPS faced a $734 million deficit this year before passing a $10.2 billion budget in August. CPS says the district takes the report findings seriously, saying in part, quote, effective October 29, CPS is restricting nearly all employee travel and has formed a travel review committee effective November 2025. Travel controls, transparency, and auditability will improve with the implementation of the new enterprise resource planning financial system that is currently underway.
That is crazy, though.
And the district says this new system will hopefully improve automation and implement more restrictions when it comes to things like travel expenses and travel requests.
How does Chicago Public School System not have a travel and expense management software system that tracks and evades this and make it happen? This is absolutely crazy. How you gonna spend $1.5 million in Vegas? Listen, I need to go get a job. I don't know what y'all people doing. See, I don't know what
police
people
and FBI.
This is crazy. Let me go to some crime. People like crime. Shit.
Agents say they work together to get members of a dangerous gang off the streets. Good evening. I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. Law enforcement announced the arrests of 21 suspects, all suspected of numerous violent crimes. Fox 4's Alex Boyer live in Dallas with those details. Alex.
This is crazy.
Hey guys, you know, it's interesting to hear the police chief say that this one particular gang is responsible for the vast majority of violent crime in the city of Arlington. So what the police chief did in 2024 was ask the FBI field office here in Dallas for help. And last Thursday, they conducted a sting operation and arrested 21 suspects.
That's wild.
These are the mugshots of 21 suspects in a street gang known as Kikto, arrested in connection to a string of violent crimes committed in the city of Arlington.
Wait a minute.
Since January 2020.
Brother, wow. Like, bro, why did you want these young niggas need some mentorship, bro? Like, what y'all was going through, bro? This is crazy.
Arrested in connection to a string of violent crimes committed in the city of Arlington.
Since January of 2022, we have documented 180 criminal incidents involving Kikto members.
On Wednesday, the Arlington police chief and the assistant special agent in charge of the FBI Dallas field office held a news conference to announce the results of a joint operation that began in 2024. Last Friday, law enforcement officers arrested the suspects living in several cities across North Texas. They are all between 18 and 23 years old.
Do not let the ages distract from the havoc that they've inflicted upon our community. These gang members allegedly use violence and intimidation to protect power, territory, and profits. They instilled fear in their victims and took revenge on their rivals.
The investigation ramped up after a deadly shooting in 2024 at Bowie High School. Police say then 17-year-old Julian Howard committed the crime. He's now serving a 40-year prison sentence.
Kicked on members, robbed and assaulted individual at gunpoint. Detectives later determined that the deadly shooting that occurred at Bowie High School was in retaliation to that incident.
That's wild.
And investigators say it was also Kikto gang members who were responsible for a shootout in the parking lot of Arbrook Park Apartments back on March 10th. A 13-year-old girl asleep inside an apartment was hit by a stray bullet. Some fearful residents recorded cell phone video as they hid.
Bro, and there's still
Don't let the young niggas out, bro.
Like cop cars keep coming through and going over there.
The suspects face a wide range of federal charges, including racketeering.
You know, when you're part of
that
street
bill
gang,
look crazy,
you know,
though.
they promise you power, money.
This bill look crazy, bro. Like, how your eyes is black and you so young? Like, bro, you are dehydrated, bro. Please, you robbing people, bro. Please, gang activity need to hit a gym. That's crazy. I'm overweight too, but that's crazy.
Friendship, all of those things. But at the end of the day, all it does is lead to betrayal, jail time, or even death.
It's crazy, bro.
And I'm told by
you see, that's the problem. I want to grow old as a black man. You feel me? I think it should be every man's goal, every person's goal to want to grow old and see their family and all the rest of this, bro. But you gotta keep your people away from these YNs and the randomness. Like, moving out the hood is not just for your own safety. It's for everybody. It's just like, bro, I can't be around this bullshit. Cause it's just a domino effect of bullshit. This is absolutely crazy, bro. That's wild. Let me go to this CBS. Oh, damn.
For months, masked federal agents have aggressively engaged with protesters in several states while carrying out the president's immigration directives. Shooting pepper balls into faces, using cars to move people, and even employing chokeholds on protesters, tactics endorsed by President Trump.
Americans have been watching videos of ICE tackling a young mother, tear gas being used in a Chicago residential neighborhood, and the smashing of car windows. Have some of these raids gone too far?
No, I think they haven't gone far enough because we've been held back by the judges, by the liberal judges that were put in by Biden and by Obama.
You're okay with those tactics?
Yeah, because you have to get the people out.
This sweeping multi-agency immigration campaign is spearheaded by the Department of Homeland Security and led by U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commander-at-Large, Gregory Bavino.
If someone strays into a pepper ball, then that's on them.
We wanted to find out, what do these confrontations reveal about the shifting tactics within ICE, CBP, and HSI? We asked Eric Ballier, a 25-year career federal agent who most recently led investigations into use of force misconduct for ICE, to tell us what he sees.
This isn't policing and law enforcement as I practiced it for 25 years.
Here's what we found out. In recent months, we've witnessed federal agents firing pepper balls and other less than lethal munitions downward into crowds from elevation, despite the fact that CBP guidance prohibits agents from intentionally targeting the head, neck, spine, or female breast. In this September incident, federal agents at the Broadview facility are seen standing several stories above protesters, who appear largely peaceful. We can see pepper balls exploding around the demonstrators. And then one man is struck in the head, a tactic Ballier says is not in line with training.
Pepper balls and less than lethal munitions in my training experience are never shot at the head, neck, or solar plex area. So to have these rounds impact someone in the face, in the head, in the neck, runs the risk of serious injury, death, or unintentional consequences. My professional assessment is that they are elevating the force to a degree that is excessive.
We sat down with the commander-at-large of the operation, Gregory Bavino, just a few feet away from where this incident actually happened, to ask him directly about his federal agents' actions.
Chief, I do want to show you some of what I'm talking about. I'm curious if that is proper use of force.
Sure, absolutely. The use of that less lethal device, a pepper ball, was absolutely in line with policy, and I applaud them for protecting that federal facility there.
Aiming above the waist is within.
Listen, I play Ready or Not. Oh, yeah, I'm a gamer too. Sometimes I roll out with the pepper balls, bruh. People be pissed off. That should be fucking people up. I think it makes them not mad at them getting a bullet, but people really be fucked up off them pepper balls. Don't get it twisted.
Thin policy.
It can be if someone strays into a pepper ball. That's on them. Don't protest and don't trespass. And the use of force that I've seen has been exemplary.
You think use of force here at Broadview has been exemplary?
I do.
Next, we looked at videos of pepper spray, also known as OC spray, being deployed into protesters' faces, which DHS policy says can be deployed if a subject is offering active resistance. In this video from Portland, a federal agent walks up to the protester and sprays a large can of OC spray directly at her face from roughly 2 feet away. We can tell from the size of the can and the cone shape of the spray that it's intended to disperse a large crowd, not to target individuals. We can tell from if a subject is offering active resistance. In this video from Portland, a federal agent walks up to the protester and sprays a large can of OC spray directly at her face from roughly 2 feet away. We can tell from the size of the can and the cone shape of the spray that it's intended to
One, it's a little disturbing because there does not appear to be any sort of de-escalation attempt. If you take direct shots to the eye, it can scratch or pick your cornea. All of these situations are tense. There's a lot of emotions on both sides, but at the end of the day, you're a law enforcement professional. You are expected to have thick skin. You are expected to be able to withstand being accosted verbally, being called names, things like that.
On October 9th, a federal judge ordered immigration agents to stop deploying riot control weapons, including pepper spray, against peaceful protesters. Just days later, agents were captured in this video firing tear gas in another Chicago neighborhood.
Do you feel like any of your agents defied court orders by deploying CS gas after the order came down?
I'm not going to let any violence be perpetrated against any federal agent or any federal officer. So any use of force was well within CBP policy.
But what about potentially deadly force aimed at protesters?
Out of the road.
Federal agents have been filmed driving cars to move protesters, a move that Ballier characterizes as deadly force, or an action that carries a substantial risk of causing death or serious bodily injury.
Wow, someone's hanging off the car. Oh my God.
These vehicle maneuvers are extremely difficult and troubling to watch. You could go from zero to lethal in a blink of an eye.
In this video taken in Chicago in October, a federal agent in an unmarked car is seen driving into a protester in the street. As you can see in the video, traffic doesn't seem to be impeded. Other cars are passing freely on the passenger side of the federal agent's car. There's even another officer directing traffic, suggesting there are other avenues for the vehicle to move. Once the vehicle makes contact, the agent engages with the protester.
I'm gonna slam you on the ground.
The vehicle in an offensive use in of itself rises into that deadly force arena. It raises the risk level for both the agent, officer, general public, and any sort of suspect exponentially.
As you can hear, there's also confusion as to who is driving in the car since it's unmarked.
Get out of the way. Who are you?
Who are you? One asks, which poses additional risk for officers, agents, and bystanders.
I can't stress enough the significance and importance of markings. So when I see like the lack of markings on approaches, on arrests, it is extremely troublesome.
The final tactic we're going to look at is hands-on contact between protesters and federal agents. Specifically, the use of chokeholds, which are explicitly prohibited by DHS because they can become deadly so quickly. In this video, also from outside the Broadview facility, we see a protester stand in the way of a police vehicle, surrounded by a special response team, or SRT.
So these guys are probably already amped up, tense situation. I get that. But you're talking about one female. There's at least 6 or 7 look like SRT guys, given their headsets and camo stuff.
When the woman is pushed to the ground, we see pepper balls exploding on the pavement around her. Once again, law enforcement is shooting from elevation towards the neck and head. This poses a danger to the officers as well, at least one that can be seen not wearing a helmet, which puts him at risk from the officers shooting from overhead.
So again, tactically, why do you have a face mask and no helmet? If you're in that situation, you're wearing a helmet. If you don't have that protection, then you're useless. These guys are like hodgepodge. I'm not trying to Monday morning quarterback this stuff, but tactically makes zero sense.
Towards the end of the video, we see the agent place the protester in a chokehold, considered lethal by DHS, before being pulled away by another officer.
And the fact that this dude, who I'm confident is nice, probably ERO, SRT guy, comes up behind an unarmed female.
This is absolutely wild,
and puts her in a chokehold. Like, just straight up forbidden. That gets in the lethal force arena. If that was the team that I served on, that dude would be off it 30 seconds after it happened.
We see a similar tactic in this other video taken in Chicago in October.
I had a buddy of mine, he actually sent me this video, and his comment was, Border Patrol is out of control.
In this video, the protester has his hand on the small of his back.
There's nothing that agent is going to be able to do to stop that attack if that guy in the jeans and white shirt had a weapon in the small of his back. Not once did I hear anybody
tell
that guy to show me his hand.
Instead of creating distance, the federal agent moves closer to the protester. The agent slings his gun around his back, whereby he no longer has control on the muzzle of his weapon. The agent then places his hands on the protester.
There is not a defensive tactics class that I've been at, or a force-on-force scenario that I've been through, where that is an acceptable.
On the protester.
Hey, bro.
To the protester.
Watch.
The agent slings his gun around his back, whereby he no longer has control on the muzzle.
Let me make sure y'all can see this the right way. Hold on. Yeah, we good. Hold on. All right, ready? Go.
Muzzle of his weapon. The agent then
grab him by the neck.
And places.
Who you talking to? Who you calling boy?
His hands on.
Where he jumped from?
Whereby he no longer has control on the muzzle of his weapon. The agent then places his hands on the.
Hey, that shit ain't funny though. Why the hell did he jump?
His weapon. The agent then places his hands on the protester.
There is not a defensive tactics class that I've been at, or a force-on-force scenario that I've been
through. You needed your homeboy after you done jump. Damn.
Well, that is an acceptable.
All the extraness that's unnecessary.
Use of
that's unnecessary.
Physical force. And the fact that that weapon, that M4, is just flailing around, muzzling his agents, muzzling the crowd, basically begging some bad actor to grab it.
That's crazy.
It's good that somebody didn't get extremely hurt or killed in this. That is not crowd control. That is not de-escalation. There is nothing de-escalatory about this scene in any way, shape, or form.
What happens to federal agents who don't follow the use of force policy? According to DHS, they'll be subject to all applicable administrative and criminal penalties. But according to Bavino, no one has been disciplined yet, at least in Chicago.
Do you believe anyone has acted outside of policy?
Absolutely not.
In a statement to CBS News, DHS said federal agents are trained to use the minimum amount of force necessary to resolve dangerous situations to prioritize the safety of the public and themselves.
Bitches like that JSO, bitch. Look
But
at
for
this.
Ballier, the lack of
Look at that.
accountability from leadership may impact law enforcement's ability to do its job in the future.
My worry is that this is going to have irreparable harm to the trust and faith that the general public has in its law enforcement officers.
These some real life thugs out here, dog. Crazy. I didn't know they stopped. You know, to be real, like I have a nickel, dime, and quarter on my desk right now. But they said they're gonna stop production of the penny, which they said for years it costs more to make the penny than the penny's actually worth, which is wild to me. But
The last one. 3, 2, 1. And I just want to welcome everybody to this historic city of Philadelphia for this historic event, the striking of the last penny. You know, as public servants, it's our responsibility to steward public resources with prudence and transparency. However, over the last decade, the American taxpayers have been repeatedly shortchanged. I want you to think about this. Just over the last 10 years, production for a single penny has tripled while the demand has plummeted. Given the rapid modernization of the American wallet, the Department of the Treasury and President Trump no longer believe the continued production of the penny is fiscally responsible or necessary to meet the demands of the American public. This is another example of President Trump's common sense agenda. The cost savings of ending penny production will save the American taxpayer approximately $56 million a year in just production cost alone. You know, we're saying goodbye to the penny today, but it's still legal tender, and we have over 300 billion of them in circulation, and we want you to continue using them. We're not getting rid of the penny. We're discontinuing the production of it, but we're not eliminating as legal tender. So you can still use it at your stores and retail outlets.
Until they take it out of circulation, Bill. What do you think about that? Is a penny actually needed? Would you want a penny over what's the shit? A 50-year mortgage? 50-year mortgage is a shit now, you know what they say. That's what the people pushing. Nothing new in news. Nobody's really alive. I don't want to see Stephen A. and the rest of that shit, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign out, y'all. Listen, I appreciate every single one of y'all tapping in for the stream tonight. Again, if it's your first time here, I am the hip-hop lobbyist, professional government affairs consultant in the state of Florida. We really handle a lot of nonprofit appropriations. I lobby for nonprofit groups from elderly Holocaust survivors to young youth, people living in the hood, getting mentorship and reading resources for them. So, you know, make sure everybody has an equal seat at the table. I appreciate y'all tapping in for the stream tonight. We had a couple technical difficulties, but all together, we've had over 38,000 people on this stream tonight. I appreciate over 100 people who are still here with us tonight. I appreciate each and every one of y'all tapping in. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and if you subscribe, go ahead and hit that notification bell so when I do go live, you can at least tap in. I'll try to go live every day this week. I'm still trying to lock in the schedule. It's tough. I told us when we had like 1,000 subscribers that, you know, I'm gonna get a schedule one day, but new clients, new missions, people, we have a lot of goals before the year ends. But either way, appreciate y'all tapping in, man. Y'all have a wonderful night. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Oh, one more thing.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pillow at night, you know I gave you everything I had.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Lunatic Librarian, hit my DMs on Instagram. Let's do an interview, whatever's needed. All right. Y'all have a good night. Be safe.